Tonight we made history.
Game on.
That's President of American history. Bring our troops home and stop fighting this war.
Time to talk presidential politics with Pete McDonough, our political analyst. Pete, Mitt Romney hit the halfway mark and then some last night. Is it time for the Republicans, the other candidates, to drop out?
Well, it is. I think Rick Santorum is going to stay in for the next 3 weeks, get through his home state of Pennsylvania, maybe rack up a victory there, and he can leave the race with his head held high, or he loses Pennsylvania and he just leaves the race, period.
What's the purpose for staying in at this point? I mean, you got Gingrich saying, I'm not going anywhere, and doing some crazy things. You got Santorum saying, this is halftime. It's almost over for him.
Well, hope springs eternal in the mind of a politician, and I think no one likes to admit defeat. I think Rick Santorum has a real base of volunteers and enthusiastic supporters, and you don't want to let those people down. You don't want to let your ego down. I think really that they have to come to the realization that yesterday was the start of the general election. President Obama engaged with Mitt Romney directly. Mitt Romney engaged with the president directly, and Rick Santorum and Newt Gingrich are nowhere to be found anymore.
Well, I want to follow up on that point that you mentioned, that Barack Obama mentioned Mitt Romney by name. Is the White House inadvertently helping Mitt Romney at this point by mentioning his name?
There's no help. There's no way for them to help them. This race is over. What the White House is trying to do is define Mitt Romney while there still is some confusion over what this guy's about. You know, the White House's comments yesterday were all about this guy's out of touch. Interestingly enough, the Romney comments were exactly the same. Doesn't this guy know the pain that $5 a gallon gas is? So we're about to enter the first half of a 7-month presidential campaign where the two of them try to define the other one. It's interesting because positions are pretty firm on the president.
Right.
And people either like him or don't. They think the country's going in the right direction or not. Mitt Romney is a blank slate, is an etch-a-sketch to a lot of people.
We were just about to ask you about that, the etch-a-sketch moment, but I guess this has to be for him.
It has to be. This is a point of, I think the etch-a-sketch comment was a terrible comment to use because it conjured up something from everyone's childhood. But in fact, both campaigns will reset for the general election, and all of this stuff about social conservatism or the president moving to the left, they're both going to move to the middle and try to find those undecided voters. That 20%, we're playing a football game, and in the pitch, as most of your observers would know it, it's the middle of the field where people are going to play.
I think a lot of the media always wants to go on to what's next. Okay, are people like Rick Santorum, Newt Gingrich, are they staying in this also because they would like to be vice president?
I don't think either of them can be vice president. If I was going to predict vice president right now, I'd say Paul Ryan for Mitt Romney. These two have been glued to one another. The president's attack on Mitt Romney were about his closest to Paul Ryan being the Budget Committee chairman. He's attractive, he's from the Midwest, he's got the Irish Catholic thing going for him.
So not Chris Christie?
Not Chris Christie.
Not Chris
I don't
Christie.
think so.
Not Chris Christie. Because you know Chris Christie. That's why I had to throw that in there.
I do. I think he's
being
a great guy,
#2.
but I don't think he's vice president. I don't think he's going to take a backseat to anybody.
Well, and he said that, can you imagine me being vice president to anyone?
Yeah, and that's the problem with the other candidates. You're not going to have a Gingrich type or a Santorum type after they've been ripping the guy that's running against him, then come back and be his VP. We haven't seen that happen before.
Well, we saw that happen with Joe Biden. Joe Biden was an attack dog on Barack Obama 4 years ago, and the next thing you know, he became the vice president. But I don't think Rick Santorum or Newt Gingrich bring anything to the table for Mitt Romney. Not a thing.
Even in terms of bringing the conservative base along, because the conservatives have not been big Mitt Romney fans.
If you look at the Wisconsin results from yesterday, it appears that the evangelicals, Tea Party supporters, and people who are self-identified very conservative voters, in fact, did go for Romney. I think the very conservative voters are starting to say, are being united around the anybody but Barack Obama. Yeah. A month ago it was anybody but Romney. Now that's pivoting to anybody but but Obama, the very, very conservative, pro-life, anti-abortion, Christian conservatives, Santorum still has some residuals with them, but not a lot.
All right. Well, Pete McDonough, we thank you so much. We'll talk a little bit more as this campaign continues along. We always appreciate your insight and analysis.
Good to be here.